But I guess I should talk more about Davis's role in the group. Because in the last, when I critiqued Adventure and I got to Ty, I talked about, my thoughts on group size and group dynamic. And I feel like some of the problems kind of transfer over to here as well. There's only 6 kids in this group as opposed to 8 from the last season. But still, the show doesn't know what to do with these many characters. So a lot of them fall to the wayside. In fact, to an extent, Davis sometimes seems like he's just a secondary character. I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it. In this season, I think there are only 2 characters done somewhat competently. And I'll tell you who those characters are right now. It's Ken and Cody. Davis, I don't think, is done competently at all, or at least not that much, because to me, he doesn't command the amount of focus and attention that a main kid or leader of a group should. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to try to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Ken easily has the most thought, effort put into him than any other character in this show. I mean, he has personal connections to just about every villain in this season. It was his control spires that created Black War Greymon. It was his control spires that actually binded the digital gods. He was a pawn of Arukenimon. It was his dark spore that is being used to put Oikawa's plan into motion. So there was a lot of focus on Ken and his arc from a bad guy to a good guy. Cody also has a fair amount of focus and planning and effort put into his character, with his black and white belief system coming into how he treats Ken when he joins the group, his connections he tries to make with Black War Greymon, and his personal connection with Oikawa through his dad. And that's to me why I think Davis seems like a secondary character despite him being the lead hero. He has no connection to what's going on, so it makes it seem like he's in the background. I might have mentioned this already before, but to me it seems like a lot of these characters didn't have an original focus, and it seemed like the show was hoping they'd come up with one for them later on, and they just didn't get around to doing that. And all the stuff that I feel was supposed to give him focus, like, let's see, his crush on Kari, his rival with TK, and even his relationship with his sister didn't seem to go anywhere. And I think I should mention this, despite this taking place in the real world, for like so much of it, these characters have like almost little to no relationship with their parents or family, minus Ken and Cody, which hurts a lot of their development, because in Adventure, that was one of the things I liked about the third arc, was seeing the relationship with their family, because it allowed me to see the characters in a different light and make them more relatable, because everybody can relate to having parents. You know, whether they be the traditional nuclear family, or their parents being divorced, or being adopted. You know, those relationships helped flesh out the characters more. And this season doesn't take advantage of the fact that the kids are in the real world and around their parents, like, every day. The only 2 that do take advantage of this are Cody and Ken. And guess what? Those 2 benefit greatly from this, and it adds a lot, I think, to their character. But that's really all I have to say about Davis, because to me, despite his bombastic personality, I still think he kind of blends in the background a bit, not as much as the other characters, but enough to the point that I just don't care. So let's just talk about Vmon, and then we'll move on to something else. The Digimon partners in this season have a bit more of a personality than the Digimon partners in the last season, but that could just be that the dubbers gave these Digimon partners accents, which gives them, this kind of illusion of personality. I don't know. Veemon's personality is pretty much, he's almost exactly like Davis in every way. He thinks like Davis, he talks like Davis, he's dumb like Davis, he has a crush on Kari's Digimon Gatomon. And this is where the show to me gets really obnoxious, is the interactions that these two have. Because the show is trying to create a comedy duo between them. You know, they're trying to be the comic relief characters. But the problem with that is I don't want my two main leads to be comic relief only. Now, don't get me wrong. In Adventure, Tai had his, funny moments, but he wasn't what I would call comic relief. That seemed to be more of Gomamon's job. And in Tamers, Takato and Guilmon had their funny moments. Together, they had a comedy duo thing going. But I wouldn't still call them comic relief characters, that was more Terriermon. This combination doesn't work for the role that these two, I think, are supposed to be in. I mean, I feel like nothing is serious about these two characters. And it's really boring and annoying. Because, this is how they start off in the beginning, and that's how they are at the end. There's no growth, no development, just, they're not fun or interesting to watch. Anyway, his evolutions, I like his armored evolutions more than his Digi-evolutions. Because to me, Flame Dramon looks really cool. Ray Dramon, not as cool, but I do like the dark design and the black and blue color scheme. But then you get into his Champion evolution, and it just looks so bland and unoriginal. It is just a bigger version of him. Like, if we go back to Adventure, we see if you look at the comparison between the Rookie and Champion level Digimon, you see that they are just, I think they're designed so differently that it does look like a new step of evolution. They are recognizable as, like, still in the same family for the most part, but avoiding just looking like a bigger version of the Rookie version. If that makes any sense. I don't know if it does. But this is the problem with the other Champion evolutions of this season. Minus, well, Ken's. I guess there's like one more armored evolution for Davis. It only appears, I think, once. And it's this armored egg that's being used to, like, power the Digimon Emperor's base. Now, I don't know how strong this evolution makes Veemon, because on its own, it can't beat Chimeramon, who is an ultimate level Digimon. But it's supposed to be super powerful because it can only be used once, which, by the way, is just such a clear example of a Deus Ex Machina, because it, to me, shows they want to find a way to beat Chimeramon, but they don't want to introduce a permanent new evolution, because at this point, the Digimon aren't even Champion level, so the next evolution would be Champion. But Chimeramon's an Ultimate, so that wouldn't work, and they can't introduce an Ultimate evolution because the fused Digimon are supposed to be the new Ultimate evolution, and Davis needs to fuse his Digimon with Ken, who's still evil at the time. So let's get around this by just introducing a new Digimon egg, and we'll just say it can only be used once. So here is Magnamon. But I will admit, I do think Magnamon here looks pretty cool. It's got gold on it, but it's not completely gold like Shoutmon's evolution was, which I'm just gonna say, I think anything completely shiny and gold looks tacky. But this evolution has, blue in it. It's got more color variety. So, I like it. I kind of wish I got to see more of it, though. And I wish that they did a bit more explanation on this armored egg. Because I don't think they explained how Ken got it, or how he uses it to power his ship. I don't know. I guess the last thing to talk about is the fused evolutions, which I'm just gonna say I don't like any of these. I think they all look really ugly. Paildramon is probably the best looking out of all of them, at least at the ultimate level. But that's not really saying a whole lot. And Davis and Ken are the only characters to get Mega Digimon in this season, continuing Digimon's proud policy of exclusion. But it gets around making the kids that don't have the Mega level evolution feel useless by first off sending all the kids around the world and separating them in ways that they can't do fusions. For example, like Yolei gets sent to Russia while Kari gets sent to China. So nobody gets to use their evolutions. And then the Daemon thing happens afterwards, which has ultimate level Digimon around for the kids that don't have the Mega level to just go around and beat up. And Ken is also separated from the group, so Davis can't do the Mega level Digimon evolution. And then after that, it's just a hunt for Oikawa, which doesn't need that level of Digimon around. So I think that O2 handles the whole group exclusion better than, say,